and welcome to Denver Celebration. We're so glad you joined us. Charlene Bactamarian, your host today with the Spirit of the Lord Ministries out of Cheyenne, Wyoming. We're so glad you tuned in. You'll not be sorry. We have with us a very special guest today that is not only a best-selling author, but also a therapist, many things, and she's going to be telling us about her journey that she went through with cancer, divorce, and she has a book, Release Stress. It's a series that you are going to want to get and stay tuned to get that will help you through this journey that you're going through. Maybe some of you have cancer out there. Maybe some of you are going through divorce, and you have got to hear the ending of this story. God has done miraculous things in Lauren's life, and it's going to give you hope. So we want you to stay tuned. Make sure you call our prayer lines, 423-2400, so the prayer partners can pray for your needs. Now stay tuned, and we'll be right back with our guest. Welcome back to Denver Celebration. Again, for those who have just tuned in, I'm Charlene Bactamarian, your host today, and you will not be sorry for tuning into this program. You want to call some friends and get them to join us, because we have with us today Lauren Miller, our very special guest. She is not only a best-selling author, but speaker and therapist. At the age of 38, Lauren was diagnosed with stage 3, grade 3 breast cancer. It affected 7 out of her 12 lymph nodes, and she was given a 50% chance of survival. The diagnosis came just 5 days before her divorce was final. Do you want to really get hit with something? I mean, get hit with all of that. And yet, through it all, God has done a miraculous thing. She is remarried to a wonderful man. God just gives back, and he's with you through it all. And she has, through that, she has her book calling Hearing His Whisper, and it's so wonderful. It's all about, through that, what she was going through, him and her. Jesus and her, their dialogue. So won't you help me welcome to the program today our very special guest that's going to bring much hope through her journey as she shares it with you. Help me welcome Lauren Miller to the program today. Lauren, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We've been so excited talking with you in the green room. You know, God is so great in how he says things through people, and he just puts everything so well through you. I mean, we were just sitting in there and was like amazed and go, wow, wow. So, Lauren, tell us, I mean, there's so much through your journey, but where did you get the inspiration to write your first book?
You know, it began with my first encounter with Jesus, I think. It's, you know, my testimony began when I was 16. And I actually grew up in Long Island, New York, and my parents took us out here as a family to a Christian ranch. At the time, I call it my BC days. That's why I worked with the youth for 20 years, because nothing they say surprises me with what I've walked through, you know, before walking with Jesus and making that decision to follow him. That was the best decision in my life. You know, it truly was. And
mine too.
You know, anybody that I've ever met, you know, that's made that decision says the same thing, and it truly ended up saving my life, you know, in the last 4 years, when I was told that I'd be fighting for my life. And I gave my life over to Jesus when I was 16, so fighting for my life, it wasn't a fight. It was an experience of surrender and letting go, because Jesus already had my life.
Oh, that's good.
So it was just getting me in line with that truth, that it's not about the fighting. And I'm a second-degree black belt in Taekwondo, so my mentality, you know, going through 15 years of martial arts was, you know, and a lot of people think it is fighting, but actually the training is moving with your opponent, you know, so you move out of the way and use the energy to move with it. And it's really a learning technique of letting go and trusting your body's ability to move quickly and remaining calm and flexible. And so when I, in my journey through cancer, when I came to the realization of, oh my goodness, you mean I'm not on the front lines fighting here? I can let go and let God. I actually have that choice to let go and let God. Because initially I was like, when I first found out, I went down to my basement and I beat the heck out of my bag. You know, I'm a very physical person, so I just, you know, gave myself permission to get the physical out and then return to my heart. Then I returned to Jesus, and I remember collapsing on the floor, which I often do in a cross position. And one of my first verses that I memorized was Galatians 2:20. I've been put to death with Christ on the cross, so it's no longer I who live. This life I live by faith alone in the Son of God who loved me and gave his life for me. And so I just, in that cross position, I just surrendered all again and said, I feel that you have written a message of love on my heart for the world. And if I'm meant to continue to live out this mission, then I trust that you'll carry me there. So it was in the act of surrendering versus fighting, because nothing thrives in a state of war. And I think as human beings, we think it's a fight. And I've heard that quite a bit, particularly with, I've spoken to many groups, associated with breast cancer or recovery groups. And it's not a fight, unless we choose to make it so. And we forget that we have the choice to choose love, or to choose fear, or to choose war, or to choose peace. And when we're connecting to the peace that passes all human understanding, that is the connection that sets our souls free to heal. Because then our bodies, down to the molecular structure and down to our cells, feel the love.
Well, and
They
so
feel the love.
isn't God great?
So,
because through all your pain, through all these trials, he births out, hear his whisper.
Oh, that was the most amazing thing, because as I was telling you in the room we were speaking in, I began this book because my business 10 years ago, it was stress relief, and it was all about empowering men and women emotionally, physically, and spiritually in the areas of inner balance and faith and stress relief.
Which we want to tell the people right now that are viewing that you do have a series of stress relief.
Yes, I have the first book, and the series is out.
And it's in audio if they go to your website.
It's actually the first book, Hearing His Whispers, in audio.
Okay.
And if they go to my website, the link to get the book, they can download it instantly. They can get the book instantly.
Nice.
So they can go to my website and just click on the little book that says Release the Stress, 5 minutes to stress relief around the craze of life.
That's really good. So, but back to hearing his whisper, hearing his whisper. That is so good. Through this whole journey that you're going through with the cancer and divorce and all this, you start hearing his whisper.
Yeah, that's
It's
that's
just
so
awesome.
God.
That's so God. I know. I'm just like, that's exciting. So tell us about it.
That is definitely God. I began writing it about 5 years prior to the cancer, and I started journaling it, and then I started sending out sections of it as inspirational messages to my clients, and then I started posting them, and I was getting hundreds of responses from people saying, you need to publish this. So the seed was planted, and then it grew in the midst of complete desolation, physically speaking, because in the midst of the cancer, that's when it really hit that, okay, you need to publish this book. And again, I just surrendered the whole process, and then I hooked up with Tate Publishing, and then their incredible Christian publishing company, and then it all rolled out. And when I was actually back recording the audio version of Hearing His Whisper, I wept so many times during the section entitled During, because I don't remember writing it. And I remember I had such bad chemo brain, like I couldn't even remember that this was a table. Like, because that's what happens when you have that's referred to as chemo brain. Your brain is coded, so you forget nouns, verbs, how to write, how to read, all of that. And yet God perfected his message through me when I was completely out of the way, physically speaking.
Goes to show who does it.
Yeah,
Goes
exactly.
to show who's really doing
Get out
it.
of the way.
Yeah.
So I did. I got out of the way.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
and so
God is good.
During is when you don't remember what you wrote, but what brought back the tears, and what was so amazing about that part?
The conversation and just the questions that I had during that time, and I didn't know if I was going to die at times. I got a staph infection that spread through my body. I had 11 surgeries. I had 16 chemos. I had 6 weeks of daily radiation. And under 2 years, and I remember thinking at times, is this it? Am I giving up the earth suit? And yet everything in my soul said no. It said choose life. And no matter how many times I got knocked down, and I actually remember competing in in the Colorado championship for Taekwondo, and I got knocked out one time. So that image came back and said, get up and choose life, choose God, choose love, no matter what. No matter what surrounds you, no matter how dark the night is.